Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your Talking Town. I'm, of course, your host, The Gov. Looking forward to hearing all your thoughts and feelings regarding the mighty Ipswich Town. Whether you're watching live or on catch-up, we do ask for you to get involved, have your say. So leave a comment if you're on catch-up, and if you're live, then get active in our live chat, as Sharon has, Nick has, Phil has, Streaky has. Good afternoon to you all. So, international weekends, obviously no town football. Sigh, but we're here to just discuss the week, get some thoughts and feelings down, and look ahead to what's coming up, which is everyone is billing as a big period for Ipswich Town. Obviously, some big games in December. Not saying any names just yet. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to Talking Town. We hit 5,000, so again, thank you ever so much to every single person who has ever subscribed to us. Welcome in, Ben. I hope you're doing well, my man. We have got a new partner joining us, a very special new partner joining us soon. But in the meantime, we do, of course, have Stowmarket Osteopaths as one of our partners. Thank you so much to them for partnering up with Talking Town. Stowmarket Osteopaths on 01449613633. I go for osteo, but they do osteo, they do physiotherapy, they do some other treatments as well. I use them predominantly for osteotherapy for my back disability. I can't speak highly enough about Freddie and his team at Stowmarket Osteopaths, and I can't, again, speak highly enough for thanking them for joining up with Talking Town. Stowmarket Osteopaths, 01449613633. Say the Gov has sent you. Liam says, I think we need the international break, maybe a bless in disguise. We look tired. West Brom won't know what's hit them. Streaky, Norwich ticket info coming this week. We've already sold out several away grounds that are coming up, including West Brom, which is on the TV. Mighty Town travelling far and wide again. Welcome in, Colin. I hope you're well. There will be a link if you want to join us, but right now I'm joined by optimistic Phil Blundell. Phil, how you doing, my man?
Absolutely wonderful. I am not bored one bit about the international break. I watched some of the England game the other night, and I was even more bored. So what can you say about it?
Well, no, absolutely. Yes. England beat Malta, of course. That was the international break. If you're an England fan, Wales drew yesterday. I'm not a huge fan of the international break. I think there's too many. I'm going to sort of say that straight away, Phil. I think there's far too many breaks. I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, too many international breaks. Let's just get on with it. Who cares?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I completely and utterly agree with you. And this is obviously our third one, right? This is our third international break. And each one we've sat, I think we've discussed, or certainly you, Rich and Craig, have sat and discussed on the international breaks about, what's been the best moments, what's to come. And there's always been we're riding the crest of the wave. It's been a fantastic start. And again, we're sitting here and we're riding the crest of the wave. And it's been a phenomenal, third part of the international season break, if you like, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we've been. I'm gonna say we're obviously on a roll since the start of the season. I think with each international break that we've had so far this season, I think we've won every game going into the international break so far, which is always a psychological good footing to go on to when we resumed. And looking forward to the trip to West Brom on Saturday. Yeah,
no, absolutely. Live on the television. Before I went live, I was looking for these T-shirts. I'm so effective and so efficient. I put them on my chair, obviously, for a show, and then forgot I'd put them on my chair. So apologies if you're watching live and you can see that. Yeah, you're right. Each time we've come back, stronger, if you like. And we always look back before we look forward. And we've had a number of games since that international break. And I sort of asked you the question before we went live. What was your favourite sort of game, if you like?
My favourite game really stands out as being one that we really needed to get one over our Pilgrim friends down in the southwest was the Plymouth home game. Yes, we conceded 2 goals, but to win against that, we owed them one from last season, and I think that one for me just was a nice bit of satisfaction.
Yeah, so that was a 3-2 home win. I suppose the fans going into that game, they sort of build that as a game they wanted to win. Obviously, if we want Town to win every single game, but that one particularly because of last season, and it was good to get 3 points. But that was your favourite one of the whole run. That for you is the one that sticks out.
Yeah. I mean, I think you've got the other games like the Bristol win. Obviously, we slipped up a little bit against Rotherham and Birmingham, but no, to get to win that last game before the international break against Swansea was important because I think it was psychologically important to get that 3 points going into the international break.
Love that. Absolutely love that. I have just dropped a link. If you do want to come on and have your say this afternoon, you can talk about absolutely anything to do with Ipswich Town Football Club. I've got a few talking points here, but really, as always, we want you to shape the narrative. What are you talking about? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Let us know in the chat. Get active or join us live on the show. I'm actually going to go for a different game. I'm actually going to go for the Swansea 3-2 win, another 3-2 home win. We don't do things easy, it seems, when you look at the score lines in retrospect. But you mentioned Birmingham there. You mentioned Rotherham. Obviously 2 games where we picked up 2 points. They're both 2-2 draws, very different 2-2 draws. One was a come from behind, felt like a win, and one was a sucker punch. You thought you'd won it, and then they equalised at the death, and you almost felt how the Birmingham fans felt on that Saturday when we had done the same. So Swansea going in, people on the platform, in the chat, on social media. Is this the wobble? Are we not playing as well as we were doing? Do we need the break to have a rest? I felt it was vital to get back to Portman Road, back to playing our decent football and winning games. And we did that against Swansea, and that was for me a standout moment because then you go international break full of optimism, enthusiasm, as you should do, sitting second, joint first in the table. But many were also saying, "Oh, is this the wobble?" So that sticks out for me, Phil.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would say just looking ahead a little bit to the next couple of games there. I mean, they're not easy games. I'm saying there's no easy game at this level anyway.
No easy games,
no.
no.
Just looking at West Brom's home record, they've played 8 games at home and they've only lost 1. And the same with Millwall. They've played 8 games away and they've only lost 1 away. So I think on paper, it's 2 teams that I would say, given the league position, we should be winning anyway. But these 2 could easily be a draw. We could even step up against. I would say, God forbid, I would hate to lose against Millwall. I've always hated losing against Millwall because they're always.
Okay, you can leave it there. Yeah, no, that's fine. I hate losing every single game. I'm going to be brutally honest. I want Town to win all 46. I know it's not possible, but that is what I want. Before we go back, who's been your standout performer in a Town shirt in the last period?
Man, I think
there's been quite a few. I mean, the whole team really. You could say 1 to 11. I know they don't play that 1 to 11 squad game anymore, but you could say it, couldn't you? Because they've all been individually brilliant in times, at moments, in patches, in periods. But who's been your standout performer?
I think.
Who have you got?
I think for me, over the last segment of games since the last international break, there's obviously not that many games. I think it was about 5 league games. Mm-hmm. I think for me, having missed Burns since the last break, Omari stepped up and he's impressed me when he's played. Jack Taylor is coming on now. He's really starting to find his groove, and that goal that he scored was against Swansea, that rocket. And I would say it's just those types of players. And Twanzebe too. He's now starting to come into the fray. Players like that, players who McKenna has introduced to the squad, has not necessarily had much game time, and they're now starting to find their feet is really good. Going into this rather tough run of games. I think for me, it's difficult each week to pick a standout man of the match performer with the way that we're playing. But I don't know. I would say, can I give it to 2? Can I give it to Omari and Taylor? I think those 2 players for me, they're starting to really shine, which is really nice because we've got, it shows our quality and depth in the squad, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul Smith says best result for Ipswich was Leicester losing 2. Paul P. Haladki says Paul P. Good afternoon, being frank. Hope you're well. Streaker says Swansea for me a win, and Hurst and Chapman both scoring equals a happy camp. Good comment there, Streaker. Love that. Get your comments in. I want to say Haladki like Paul because I think Haladki's been absolutely phenomenal. Real story of the season. In a season that's had a lot of stories, that's a standout one. And every week passes by without a new contract being announced gets me a little bit nervy. I'm not going to lie. I want to see that announced. I want to see that done, signed, sealed, and delivered. But away from Haladki, Hurst. I think he's consistent. He's consistent in what he brings to this football team and the importance that he brings, Phil. And I really feel, when we don't have George Hurst available, when we don't have him perhaps 100%, we really feel it. We really notice it. It's a real thing. I know Wes Burn's been a big miss as well, but George Hurst, for me, Velcro as I like to call him, everything sticks to him and he makes things go for us, Phil. He really does.
Yeah, he's the one player in our starting lineup that does the hard work. He works hard for other players. He creates space for them. He helps create chances, and sometimes with some types of players that it's not necessarily all just about scoring goals, although that's a very important part of the job. And he does it so very well. With the way that with the style of the play that we play. Playing up front on his own, more or less in a central position. That's not an easy position to play, and
No.
you need to be at it. And he has done that. He creates the space. He helps create the chances. He chases down what seems to be lost balls. He puts defenders under pressure, and that's what we like to see as a Town fan at every game that we go to.
Yeah, absolutely. So let us know who's been your sort of stand-up performer so far in the last period between the last international break and this one. There's a number to choose from. There really is. Your favourite game. And you mentioned there a little bit looking ahead. We have got what many are billing as sort of the real tough point of the season, a real flurry of games that, on paper and in league position-wise look tough. We've got West Brom, first game back on the TV. Millwall on the Wednesday night. Coventry, Saturday the 2nd of December. Borough, Michael Carrick's Borough, who started the season, not as great as they were perhaps billed to be, but they've really come alive in recent weeks. Watford, Norwich, Leeds. I mean, that 3-game stretch, Watford, Norwich and Leeds. And then followed that by Boxing Day on the TV, 7:45 kickoff. Leicester City roll into town, QPR, and then Stoke. 30 points there, Phil. Some big mouth-watering games. First of all, I mean, we'll take the derby away for a moment because I think everyone's standout game there is the derby. It's the one people look forward to in June, in August, and then, of course, as you build up to it. But what's the one game there you're really looking forward to or nervous about, anticipation? Whichever one sort of stirs that up in you when you look at those run of fixtures? Which ones jump out to you immediately? Because for me, it's that 3-game stretch. Watford, Norwich and Leeds. Watford because I've got family relations there and I always want to beat Watford. Leeds because who knows how the league position table will lie come then. And then, of course, Norwich. Which one jumps out for you?
I think for me, if you obviously take the Norwich game, I think the one that really jumps out for me is the Leeds United game. Not because it's on my birthday. My birthday is 23rd of December. Simply because it strongly reminds me of the game that we played early this season and didn't come out on top, but it was a thoroughly entertaining game with 7 goals in it. And I just think that Leeds, they've now found some form and they're in a groove at the moment, and that they could go on a sort of an 8, 9, 10 game winning streak, and that would involve getting past us. But I think Leeds is a really quite aggressive team. They've got loads of quality, no shortage of quality up front. And, given our away record, we don't tend to score many goals away. So I just think that's probably one that we should think, could this be another defeat on the cards? I'd be unhappy if we went to Leeds and not play well. I'm saying we need to go there and give a good account of ourselves. But I think this one could be just a little bit too sticky for us, I think.
All right, well, let's run through them quickly. We've got Colin and Frank waiting to come in. I'll bring you both in individually very soon. You have your say on any talking points, anything you want to say about your football club. You're more than welcome. If you want to do the same, hit the link in the chat and join the conversation. But West Brom, win, draw, or defeat against West Brom, do you feel, Phil?
I'm going to go with the win. Win, West Brom. Yeah.
All right. Love that. So that's 3 points on the board. Nice and quick. Millwall and Coventry, 6-pointer there. Which one is it? 6 points? Is it 4 points? 3 points? How are you feeling against Millwall and Coventry?
Another 6 points for me. Two more wins for that.
Okay. All right. Which one are you most sort of anticipating out of those 2 games? Because Millwall, new management, they're going to be always a tough team to play against. Coventry, last year's playoffs, of course. Not as great a season this year so far, but still plenty of time for them to recover that.
Yeah, I'm saying I tend to be a little bit more nervous about Mill. I'm not worried about Coventry. You know, Coventry, you know, they lost some real good quality from last season in, you know, Ben Hamer and Gyökeres. You know, two big losses, and the players they brought in just haven't stepped up to the plate. And so I'm not really concerned about Coventry at all. I'm saying the Millwall game, it just comes with its reputation in itself, really. Millwall,
yeah, no, absolutely.
yeah,
tough
always
game to play against. Yeah,
tough.
absolutely.
Yeah. So
okay, so so far you've got us winning the 3 games back: West Brom, Millwall, and Coventry. Then you go into Borough, Michael Carrick's Borough. Obviously, a Man United connection there. Are you confident of 3 points away at the Riverside? Is it the Riverside?
I'm saying Middlesbrough picked up, and you know, again, they're one of those teams that have found their groove lately, and you know, going to places like Middlesbrough, you know, like we did with Sunderland earlier, you know, first game of the season, they're tough places to go to, and I don't think we've got a particularly good record at Middlesbrough. I don't think. No. I would probably put this one down for a draw.
Okay, all right. So okay, not a defeat, still picking up those points, but a draw as it was. Now, if we look at the league table, right, I'll make this a little easier. We could go 1 by 1 through games we're going to there, but that could take sort of forever as we reach that crunch point. But this is the league table as it reads. We're 8 points clear, obviously, joint top with Leicester. We've got some big games coming up past Borough. Now, everyone's looking to January and about who we can sign, and we'll come to that in a second. And I'm sure Frank or Colin have their own thoughts as the live chat does. But how do you think the league table, putting your Mystic Meg hat on here for a second and looking into your crystal ball, how do you think the league table will look January the 1st after Stoke? Do you think it will read like that? Leicester and Ipswich neck and neck, Leeds still chasing 8 points? Do you think it'll be tighter, closer? Do you even think Town might slip out of the top 2? I don't know. I'm asking you. I'm asking the live chat. What come January the 1st, 7 p.m. at night?
Yeah, I think. Look, I mean, say with the table as it is, with the 2 teams occupying the top 2 berth places and the gap between them and the rest of the table, I would be very surprised to see Town out of the top 2 come the 1st of January. I mean, so that's a 3-game win cushion as far as every Town fan is concerned. And I know Leeds are capable of going on a run where they're going to win a lot of games with the players they've got, but I would find it hard to see Town outside of the top 2 come the 1st of January. I think I've not studied the next 5 or 6 games for both teams, but I would say I think December is a month where I think some of the top teams are pretty much playing each other, so we're going to take points off each other. I think there's going to be some jostling with the games coming up, but I'd be very surprised to see Town outside of top 2 come the 1st of January. That's 3 wins. We're effectively almost 3 wins ahead of everyone else below us, and with the 6 games that we've got coming up, with the home games, Millwall, Coventry, Norwich. Yes, we do play Leicester, although you haven't asked me about Leicester game just yet, but I'll share my thoughts on that in just a moment.
Well, Raxback says still second, reduced gapped by 3 points. Ben Moore says he thinks Town will be in 3rd come January the 1st, which, okay, fair point. I mean, it could very, that game stretch there with, Watford, Leeds, Norwich, Leicester, that's a big stretch because that's a lot of football there. Obviously, Leeds could take 3 points off us. That reduces it to 5 if it was still 8 at that point. The Derby form doesn't count. Watford are a team that is currently looking like they're going to be a bit more dangerous than perhaps they would have done a couple of months ago. Charlie says we'll be second and stay second all season. Love the confidence, Charlie. Love that. Sean, who is the only team to have lost the least number of games? Town now to keep bagging points. Town top come January the 1st. We had our first top mention for January the 1st. But it's going to look really interesting. That big one that currently sticks out, if the table sort of keeps itself as it is, Phil, is Leicester. So tell us your thoughts on that before we look at January and any targets or one target you want to bring in.
I think with Leicester, I would say between us and Leicester, we are 2 different teams that play in a different way. Leicester, they're more of a defensive team. They don't concede that many goals, but then again, they don't score that many goals either. And whereas we're a team, with the way that with the style of play that we've got. I mean, say we just create chances, we attack, we score goals. We're an entertaining team to watch, especially at home at Portman Road. And I just think that when Leicester come to Portman Road on Boxing Day, I think they'll find it quite a tough environment to play their football. Considering with the number of chances that we're creating at home, and God forbid that when we do have this, 3-game, Norwich, Leeds, and Leicester, that we've still got a fully fit squad to choose from, because
time will tell.
Now that the international breaks for this kind of calendar year are now kind of done and out of the way, this is now a long stretch of games where they'll be playing, sort of Saturday, Tuesday, especially around the Christmas period time, and that's probably the first month of our season where we're really going to be stretched and tested.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the real meat of the season, if you like. This is when, because obviously you've had your international breaks where you've had a period of games, but then you've had a break and you can regroup. In some cases, for some clubs, it's regroup and get better. For us, it's regroup and keep the momentum going. But this is the real meat of the season. I've often looked at this part of the season where, as you've said, it's Saturday midweek, Christmas period, lots of games traditionally, lots of football can change. Jack Smith says, why be pessimistic? We know how to win, and if we don't win, we draw. Andy says, Gov was playing this game here today. I certainly was, Andy. Andy loves to send me some facts, figures, stats, spreadsheets, and I love to read them, and I just love to pour myself into them. So, Andy, I really appreciate you sending those through. He also says that 19 points out of 30, average 1.9, enough to keep us second. And Paul says, let these teams worry about us. Absolutely. Now, if you put my town hat on, we're going to win every single game 3-0. Nice and easy. Job done. Promoted by February. But, that is my town hat. My personal hat just looks at that week of Watford and Norwich and Leeds. I've got family members that support all three. And obviously the derby is huge any way you shake it, whether you know people or not. And I always consign myself to defeat to then reward myself if we don't. I'm that sort of person where I go into it thinking, right, I've already lost this game. And if we win, it's an extra. And the thing is, this is quite an interesting sort of question I can ask you, Phil, as it sort of come to me right now. Has the perspective on the season changed? Because coming in, you're a League One football side being promoted. Many have said optimistic fans, top 6 finish, absolutely. Some said mid-table finish, year of consolidation. But as the season's rumbled on, you're now sitting second, joint top. Teams like Watford, teams like Leeds, teams like Leicester, teams like Norwich, and we'll come to a certain tweet and video in a moment. But they're looking at us as really tough games. Really tough games, and teams that perhaps they'd be happy to walk out with a point from. Whereas in August they would have said, League One promotion, Ipswich, Watford at home at home we should be taking 3 points off Ipswich, Leeds the same. So the season's flipped now, isn't it, as we enter it, as it should do. And what's your objective now? I know you said top 6 in the summer. That was positive talk. That was optimistic talk. Now we've seen the actual games. Is it top 3? That's the objective. Is it still just finish inside that top 6? How are you looking at it now as a town fan? Just to get your thoughts and everybody else's, actually, as we now sit here November the 19th.
I think for me, sat here November 19th, I think the objective, is for everyone now, especially Kieran McKenna, is the top 2. I've had 1 or 2 conversations about where town might finish come the end of the season, where we might be January, this and that, and will we spend money in January, whatnot. And I had a conversation with Mr. Colin Plum early this season, and his prediction was that we would finish and end up on more than 70 points and probably finish in the playoff berth. I think my expectation for this season is that Town would finish with more than 90 points and finish in the top 2, and that's where I think we'll finish. I think we'll stay in the top 2, and I think the likes of Leeds and Southampton, they're going to have to really raise their games. And just looking forward to those remaining games in December. Watford's, Leicester. I'm saying we play Queen's Park Rangers before the year out is year out, and you think that's probably nailed on 3 points there. No games are easy, but I think in particular, I'm looking at the Norwich game, and with the result that they got against Cardiff, last week, grabbing that win, away at Cardiff, I think was important for every Town fan, is because we don't really want to see a change of management before we play Norwich, because you know what happens when a new manager comes in. There's that new manager bounce, like it was with the Birmingham game and Wayne Rooney. He played a different style of play, and we didn't play very well. Look, I mean, say as far as my expectation is for the remaining games of this season, I can only really count on probably 2 occasions where Town really didn't deserve anything from the games that they played in, and yet they picked up a point. Was the Huddersfield and Birmingham games. With, you know, for large parts of both those games, we were really second best, and looked as though that we wouldn't get anything from them. But yet we managed to scrape a draw. And significantly for me is that with the changes that McKenna has, the game management McKenna has showed us as the Town fans is, introducing players later on in the second half. They are having an impact on the result, especially in the Birmingham game. With the changes that he made, and the changes that he made with the Huddersfield game too, just goes to show that we do have enough quality and depth and strength in the squad to occupy a top 2 berth. And who knows what might happen in January. I would like to see us go out and spend a bit more on 1 or 2 players in January. I wouldn't mind that at all. And yeah, just looking forward to the rest of December coming up. And I am not fearful of any team. I'll tell you that now. I'm looking forward to the Leicester game. I'm looking forward to the Norwich game. I'm looking forward to the Watford game. I'm going down to Watford.
Good man.
Seeing a friend
Enjoy.
before then. So yeah, but yeah, absolutely. All those games. Yeah.
I can still remember a Michael Chopra winner.
Yeah, that was great, wasn't it?
Great times. Yeah. And obviously you got your Chaplow moment. There's some good moments recently at Watford. Hopefully we had them again. Charlie says second place with 92 points for Town. Jack says objective is top 2. Stephen Parry would take the playoffs now. He also sort of says, I'm a realist and Leeds, Leicester Saints have better teams. Sorry, but it's true, says Stephen Parry. Ben, let's not get complacent. I think that's our problem at the moment. Hence why we struggled in January. I can see us improving the first 11. Obviously, Ashtons comments this week in the exclusive with Stuart Watson. I fouled you all a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you, ladies and gentlemen. I fouled you because I've not read any of it. I'm not actually an EADT member. And I haven't tried to look at it. So if you have got anything on those comments, anything you've seen, then do jump in, hit the live link, come into the live chat and let us know what you thought on the exclusive with the East Anglian Daily Times. We've got some more comments. We've got Paul P. We have to aim for top 2 because you don't often get a chance like this, as we know, to our cost. Having said that, the playoffs would be more than I was expecting at the start of the season. And by the way, apologies for not reading it. And I know I failed you on that. And I am sincerely sorry. I will try and read it this week before we're back on Wednesday for our match preview. Streaky, we know how we want to play. Will opposition teams overall to their setup and therefore hinder their performance? Great point by Streaky there. And obviously we've seen that a little bit, I guess, Phil, with Birmingham on that press that, we all sort of sat there in the stands at home or whatever and thought, it's not how we've perhaps expected Birmingham to come into the game. Can they, sustain that over 90? And you could argue they didn't, because we came into the game and obviously grabbed the 2 goals. So Streaky's right there in the sense of we could see teams alter their setup, ask their group of players, as it's like to be called these days, to do things perhaps they're not comfortable in doing for a sustained period. That's something to monitor for sure. Rack says, fair to say we're having the best new manager bounce in English footballing history. Love that. Absolutely love that. Now, before we bring Frank in and Colin, Norwich is on that list. And I've titled today's show, Are Norwich Underdogs? Because there is a video that was done with Jack Reeve and Benjamin Bloom. If you've not seen it, do go and check it out. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. It's on YouTube. There was a comment earlier. Here we go. Adam had a video recommended from those that are up the road. They had Ben Bloom on, and the title said, we are worried about the derby. Does anyone feel like that? Because I don't. I'm so confident we're going to smash them. And obviously that was followed up on Twitter by Chris Reeve, who is the other member of Talk Norwich City. And the tweet says this. I'm not sure if anyone's seen it, but I'll read it. I haven't got it scratched on the screen. Apologies. But Chris says, for the first time in yonks, NCFC going to the derby is complete underdogs. If we somehow don't lose, and he says at Portaloo Road, I mean, original banter. It'll be one of the most funny results. All good things must come to an end. It's been an steady on here, Chris. I'll read it as he's put it. It's been an incredibly easy 14 seasons. This is the knockout blow I think he felt on his tweet as the undisputed pride of Anglia. Let that sink in, ladies and gentlemen. The undisputed pride of Anglia.
They're going to get annihilated, Gov. They're going to come down here and they're going to leave with their tails between their legs, as far as I'm concerned.
The undisputed pride of Anglia. So, obviously, that's the video. That was the tweet that sort of preceded it, promoting it, if you like. Is he right? Is Chris right? Are Norwich underdogs heading into this derby, Phil?
Absolutely, 100%. No question, no doubt. Not a single element of that in my mind. They're going to come down here and they're going to suffer. They're going to come down here and they're going to see what it's like to play in front of a packed Portman Road house, and they're going to see just how unpleasant and uncomfortable it is to play against the Ipswich Town team this season at Portman Road, and they're going to get smashed.
Okay, that's your comments. Fair point. I mean, look at the league table, current form as it stands, 19th of November, 2 minutes past 2. Yeah, okay, fair play. You could probably make an argument for that. But derby days, derby games, form, you lift it and you chuck it out of the nearest window because it doesn't count, in my money, for anything because it's a derby. It's full of emotion. The players know, they live in the area, they see fans, they get told all during the week what it means. This is sort of, this is the equivalent of an FA Cup final. They wouldn't know what that feels like. But, this is the equivalent of one in the sense of the emotion and the occasion. And I sort of take derbies at the form and I chuck it out the window. And I feel a little bit like that's what I do with big games. I expect defeat and go in hoping to have my excitement levels raised or be beaten, and I feel that that's a bit excuse making, Phil. That's a bit, you should beat us, and then if you don't, ha 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 ha. I mean, it's a derby game. You're a team not far out of the Premier League. You didn't do nothing while you were there, but you're not far out of the Premier League. That's excuse making for me, Phil.
Look, my argument is, forget about any other else's opinion. Forget my opinion. Forget your opinion. Forget everyone else's opinion. Forget Norwich City fans' opinion. Forget the form window. Are you telling me that those Ipswich Town players that play week in, week out are not going to be fired up for this game? They're not going to look forward to this game, that they're working hard in training for absolutely nothing? No. We're gonna go into these games, especially Norwich game, and we're gonna go into these teams fearing nothing, and we're gonna create the chance to score the goals to get the points to take us into the Premier League. And I'm telling you here and now, when we play Norwich on the 16th of December at lunchtime, they are going to, in my mind, they are going to go away from Portman Road feeling absolutely humbled, humiliated.
Okay. And I think many people would say, I mean, Steve said 100%. We put 6 past Norwich. Rax said that treatment on the road, drop the underbit, get them back in their kennel. Haven't been this confident in years. Grumpy, we thought they'd get annihilated in 2000 pre-promotion and lost 2-0 at home. I'm confident, but still absolutely dreading it. Streaky says true, Gov, but they are a poor team. Ben, are they underdogs? No, because form goes completely out the window. My worry is, can Wolfie, Clark, Williams keep their heads? Given obviously Williams back in training this week, ladies and gentlemen. For those that were keeping, bingo cards or sweepstakes on that one, given their history, I'm nervous for it now. We were weeks before too. Stephen says I'm confident for the derby, but as with every game, I'm not overconfident. Trevor says living in border territory, I'd swap 10 points to beat Norwich. I wouldn't, Trevor. I really would.
I wouldn't do that.
I'd happily take getting beaten by Norwich twice this year if you said to me, Gov, in response to that, in the cause and effect, you get promoted second or first. I'd say, okay, all right, fine. Promotion over beating Norwich for me, Phil. But that's just me. That's me personally. I want to see his team desperately in the Premier League.
Yep.
How we do it, I ain't really bothered. Charlie says form does not go out the window during derby matches because we haven't beaten Norwich in 14 years, and during that time, Town were rubbish. Yeah, that's true. I mean, you've got to have some decent players, Charlie, and I think we've got abundance of decent players at the moment. Whether they're fit come derby day, it's another matter. Stephen says, very true what Stephen says, it's 3 points, not huge in the general scheme. Undisputed pride of Anglia, Phil. I mean, they can, I mean, isn't that, I mean, it's not much of a claim, is it? I mean,
it's our time, Gov. It's going to happen. It's inevitable.
I just felt that sort of killer blow in the tweet was almost, if you take a step back, East Anglian football's not been great for a while. You ain't claiming nothing special there.
Look, I had a dream this week, right? I was watching the FA Cup replay against, was it Craig Valley Paper Mills against Charlton, and I was rooting for them, and I was away elsewhere doing something, so I couldn't actually watch the first 45 minutes. And then I spotted they were 1-1 after about 40 minutes. I thought, oh, okay, we've got a real cup upset on our hands here. Look, I mean, I had a dream this week that Town would draw Norwich City in the third round of the FA Cup.
No, another Derby Day, Phil.
Another one. Look, I would say, of all those seasons, right, where we were nowhere, we were a million miles off the pace in the Championship, and every single time we play Norwich, they'd usually beat us. It's different this time. Look, we've got the special one in McKenna. We've got the players, we've got the squad, quality and depth in the squad, and we're gonna cut. Well, look, on the 16th of December, unanimously, no question, right? We are going to see who the pride of Anglia is at 2-3 o'clock on that Saturday, and it will be Ipswich Town.
It's always Ipswich Town, whether they win or lose, whether they win, lose or draw. Regardless, we'll just pull up the honours list. But if you look at it objectively,
no,
we are spotlighting the mess they're in, because if you've had this dominance, if you've had this period of being the undisputed heavyweight East Anglian champions, you're a bit of a mess. You're not just a bit of a mess. You're a complete mess at the moment, and you've done nothing with the dominance. You've done nothing with the superiority. Done nothing with the money, and we're coming back stronger. We're coming back a team full of optimism, enthusiasm, momentum, a great manager, a good set of players, and off the field, really strong foundations. And I just feel the two clubs have been polar opposites for a while, Phil, but it sort of highlights the mess that I'm looking at that Norwich are in at the moment, but that's just me. Let's bring in Frank. Frank, what are your thoughts and feelings this afternoon?
Well, similar to nice to see Phil there in the studio or wherever, his own studio. Yeah, more or less agree. I agree with Phil that I think we will beat Norwich. I desperately hope they keep their manager, because you never know that, if they were to change him just a week. It's happened so many times to Town where the manager's been sacked just days before we play this team, and it doesn't always mean we lose games, but there's the bounce back ability of a new manager coming in, which is troublesome. I've also made a list of the fixtures up until the 29th of December. I'll just read them out if you've got time for it.
Absolutely, go for it.
West Brom on the 25th. I put that down as a 1-1 draw. Millwall at home, 3-1 will win that one. That's 3 points. Coventry at home, I think, will win again by a smaller margin, 2-0. This is the one that I'm worried about, Middlesbrough. And I think Phil said more or less the same thing. If we're going to lose in this patch, I think it will be against Middlesbrough. And I put it down to a 2-1 defeat. Watford at home will win 2-1. The N-word at home. I don't curse on this show.
We're away at Watford, Frank. We're away for Watford.
We are away at Watford, Frank. We're away at Watford. Does that alter your thinking there a little bit?
I had away at Watford, and I put 1-2. So no,
that's all right. Yep, 3 points. Love it.
That's on the 12th of December. 16th, the N-word. I put a 4-0 victory for Town.
Yeah.
Leeds United. I think that would be a high-scoring game. I put a 2-2 draw for that one. Leicester at home, 3-2 to Ipswich. And the final one before we move into the new year, the 29th of December against QPR, 4-0 to Ipswich. And I've calculated that would give us another 20 points.
Yeah.
And we'll be on 59 points. That'd be 6 wins, 2 draws and 1 defeat. And we'd still be in second place with still quite a sizable lead over Leeds, especially if we draw with them.
So
Yeah,
do you think
absolutely.
we'll go to Leeds and get a result, Frank? Do you think we'll?
Well, I'm sorry, but it irritates me when people say getting a result, because if you lose, you get a result. It's just not the result you want. I mean, a lot of journalists say this, and it drives me up the wall. Getting a result, a good result, bad result, indifferent result. I think it'll be a reasonable result, a good result, really, if we draw 2-2 at Leeds. That's what I think, Phil, will happen.
Yeah.
And there'll be goals in it, as there was at Portman Road. We were unlucky, really, to lose 3-4, because it was just giving away 3 goals in the space of about 10 minutes really messed things up for us. But we had that fight back ability to almost snatch a draw at Portman Road, and I think we'll do it. I think we'll get a draw.
I think for me, watching the Leicester Leeds game a few weeks ago, that was a tightly fought game. Leicester weren't giving Leeds much, but Leeds still came at them, with wave and attack, and they did eventually make the breakthrough. They got a bit fortunate with the set piece, but when you work hard and create chances the way that Leeds do, undoubtedly, usually you do get that one chance where it's just an easy tap in, or just a sort of an unmarked header at the back post or something, and that they got that. And Leicester nearly got one back at the very end. I'm not worried about Leicester. I've seen the way they play. They don't create that many chances. Yes, they've got players like Jamie Vardy and Iheanacho up front, and the rest of the squad. Ndidi and Dewsbury Hall. Dewsbury Hall is the one who usually creates their chances for them, just like Rutter and Summerfield does for Leeds, and with the chances that we create chances all over the park. But Leif Davis is our one player who creates the most chances. And I just think with the style of play, we'll give Leicester a real good game when they come down here on Boxing Day. I think their phones are really moaning about the fact that it's been moved to 7:45.
As they should.
I'm saying, yeah. All right, okay, fine. Yeah, it's late in the evening with the trip back on Boxing Day. You really shouldn't be facing a sort of a late night trip back to your home address.
Boxing Day, 3 p.m. They should be protected by law.
Yeah, they should. I mean,
that is a sacred time for football, in my opinion. But we live in 2023, and things get moved all over the show. But it makes it hard for me personally, to even get to the game. I've got a young family, I've got family commitments, and every year we have the conversation of are the in-laws coming here, are the in-laws going there, or are my family coming here? And then of course they move the Boxing Day kickoff. So I'm not particularly happy with that, but it is what it is. We live in the broadcasting world. Frank, looking at it, Jan on the horizon, we know we've got the war chest, if you like, there to go and get Premier League football, but it's so hard. You sit in joint top. What do you want? What do you need? Give me one position, one player you feel would tip Town over the edge in the way Marcus Stewart did back in 2000.
Yeah, it is a challenging one. I mean, there is the risk, of course, if we get too many players in January, it might rock the boat a bit. I mean, I think we need another forward. I'm not too sure who it might be. There is one guy called Bojan Miofsky from Aberdeen who scored 20 goals in 48 games. Now, it is the Scottish Premier League, not the English Premier League. So we've got to bear that in mind. But he has a knack of scoring goals, and he's quite experienced. And we need somebody like that. We don't want another young gun coming in if we're talking about another striker. We want somebody who's had a bit of experience. Now, I don't think we're going to get a striker from the Championship. I think it's unlikely. It won't be like Marcus Stewart, because I remember Huddersfield, I think, were in the top 6 when Ipswich managed to get him over the line. I don't think that's going to happen. And other clubs know where Ipswich are placed in the division, and they will try and do everything to prevent us getting the players we want from the Championship. So we've either got to go upstairs or downstairs. I don't mind either, providing we get a player who has some experience. Kiefer Moore, somebody like him. I think it was strange the way we got rid of Kiefer Moore, because I think he's quite a solid striker. He'll get you goals, and he's physical. I mean, possibly need somebody like him, I would suggest.
Frank, I just wanted to ask you a quick question.
Sure.
Is if God forbid, if we get a bad injury to Hurst for example, and we don't go for anyone in January, where's your stance in putting your faith in players like Dane Scarlett and Jackson and Taylor? I'm saying, with the players that McKenna has brought in, most of them, I think, Scarlett is sort of just about now starting to find his feet a little bit. But would you put your faith in maybe a Taylor or Scarlett to step up to the plate?
Well, Taylor, possibly Jack Taylor. I mean, he was sensational in the previous game. I have to say, though, with Jack Taylor, what we tend to forget was that first goal that we conceded. He gave the foul away. He headed the ball over into the direction of the guy that chipped the ball over, and they scored. So he wasn't absolutely perfect in that game, in the sense that he made two mistakes in a space of about 1 minute, didn't he? But prior to that and after that, he was excellent, and I think he could step up to the plate. Dane Scarlett, well, he's not convinced me so far. I'll be honest, he's not convinced me. But we've got to bear in mind, we've had 18 different goal scorers, if you include the Carabao Cup. And that means that we're getting goals from just about everywhere. And maybe Headlanke one day might dribble his way into the penalty area and score. Yeah. So in that respect, we're doing quite well. But there was another player that I think it was mentioned in Football World, and his name's Scott McKenna from Nottingham Forest. He's a left-sided central defender, and I would like to see Ipswich maybe go for him, because it'd be a knockdown price. He can't get into the Nottingham Forest team at the moment, and he's got a fair amount of experience. Might be good, might be worth it.
I'll give you two, before I let you go, Frank. I'll give you one player each that I've been really impressed with when I've seen them play, particularly against Town, or when I've seen highlights. And I want you to tell me whether you would or wouldn't be interested in this player for Ipswich. So I'll come to you first, Phil. All right. Jay Stansfield at Birmingham. 5 goals this year so far. Yeah. What would you say about that?
I think I would definitely consider him. Yeah, I mean, say he's really. I mean, say at the moment, okay, he's playing his football at Birmingham, but he's at the moment he's contracted to a Premier League club, and if we're attracting, Premier League players, if there are, I'm sure there are 1 or 2 Premier League, players that are not getting the game time at their clubs, so we wouldn't mind stretching their legs for a month or 2, definitely. But yeah, I think I would like to see Jay Stansfield down there. Yeah, a real menace when we played them. Always has been whenever I've seen him play against Ipswich. Another player that I was really impressed with. Now, you mentioned going upstairs or downstairs, Frank. Well, they might be on their way downstairs, but currently they're at our level. QPR 23rd, Sinclair Armstrong. Now, he's not setting the world alight with the goals, but he's playing in a team that's obviously second from bottom. And when he played against Town, he looked a really phenomenal prospect, 20 years of age, strong, physical, could be that foil for a George Hurst. You have George Hurst going off at 70 minutes. You've got Sinclair Armstrong coming on for the remainder of the game. For me, that excites me. I think he's a good player, a developing player, and fits the model still of that player trading. What would you say about that?
I agree, and I also agree. Jay Stansfield, he is also a good player, and both of those would be good acquisitions for Town, I would say. And although I hadn't mentioned Armstrong before, I know him quite well. I've seen him quite a few times, and he is a real physical attribute. He has physical attributes as well as football intelligence, something that's underrated in the game, football intelligence. It's not like players have all their brains in their feet a bit, but in some ways, it's the difference when you go up the tiers of football between knowing when to pass and knowing when to shoot. And I've noticed Ipswich have really improved on that this season, because last season there were too many ridiculous shots by people like Wes Burns from insane angles, never going to score, those worldies that they're all hoping for. Maybe Jack Taylor could, though, because when he shoots, he tends to be unbelievably accurate. But in fairness, that is the difference, and we've ironed out those little weaknesses throughout the course of the new season, which is good to see, and our set pieces are superb. By the way, before I leave, thank you, Cruncher, and thank you, Martin, for promoting my tiny little channel. But we've got 500 plus subscribers thanks to you. So
great news. There you go. Everyone go and subscribe. Being Frank on Ipswich Town. Frank, we appreciate you, my man. Look after yourselves.
Cheers.
All the best. Charlie says Town will score 100 goals this season. Streaky, we don't have a Hurst clone in the books, do we? He is vital to us. That would be my one area. Phil. I've got somebody who is George Hurst 2.0.
I've got a couple of cheeky, I'd say, looking at the season at Sheffield Wednesday.
Throw them out there, Phil, And everyone at home can debate them, and then we'll bring Colin.
I was looking at the likes of maybe George Byers, Josh Windass, and Michael Smith from Sheffield Wednesday.
Windass, no, yeah, that's a good. Yeah.
I'm saying, and also, I can't remember his name. There was another player. Oh God, damn it.
Everyone keeps saying Sammy Gamodics. That's the name everyone keeps coming up with.
Well, yeah, I'm saying that's
Gamodics.
That's another one that I wouldn't mind. But with his pass, I don't think he would sign for us. I think that I just can't say I would like him down here, but I just can't see it at the moment.
Yeah, Stephen says about Sinclair Armstrong, he's raw, but we'll learn under McKenna, which is what another great aspect of what McKenna brings to the table. You can take a player like Sinclair Armstrong with lots of potential, and you just know McKenna's going to craft that into a very good football player. Good for half an hour, and as QPR is still under pressure, can get him. Stephen says Smith's been injured twice. Byers doesn't do anything this term. SS will be 10 million plus. Lots of people saying Brandon Williams should be signed on a permanent in January, which I'm sure many would agree with. Rack says Saki, and Adam says why not look in Europe for players? Well, Sean says isn't Ed Sheeran good friends with Messi? Just saying this. He also asked earlier in the show who can you see leaving Portman Road in the January window? Evans, Ladapo, and JD for sure. Well, Evans is injured, so I wouldn't be able to say I'd see him leaving in January. JD possibly, yes. Can certainly see that. Ladapo, I suppose if you do bring a striker in, Phil, that does open the door, doesn't it? I suppose for like Freddie to be on the way out.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think with the squad that we've got at the moment, for me, I think that we have got enough, obviously to keep within the top two. But with the likes of JD and Aluko and Evans, yeah, I can see them moving on pretty soon. Maybe especially Aluko. I think he's featured in just was it 1 or 2 games this season. He played, I think it was the Bristol Rovers game, and then again against Fulham. But I must say I can't see Aluko getting hardly any more game time, maybe 2 or 3 more games this season, depending on what we do in the cup, obviously. But
as history suggests, in terms of what games he's featured in this year, Phil, you've got one game. That's the FA Cup third round, really, isn't it? Because he's predominantly been a cup player. And that's your only cup game left guaranteed. So
I wouldn't be surprised to see Fred move on in January, although I think right now that's quite unlikely. Look, I'm going to say really, if we do go for somebody in January, I can't see it being more than maybe 1 or 2 additions, because right now, obviously with the players like Scarlett and Taylor and Williams and Twanzebe that McKenna's brought in, they are really now starting to find their feet. Yeah, and I think that's what McKenna wanted them to do by sort of certainly before the January time when we've got absentees and Luongo and Burgess and Baggett. But yeah, a last chair from Queen's Park Rangers, that'd be another good shout.
That would be, yeah. I mean, obviously a team that's battling relegation, they might look at selling some of their assets. We'll have to monitor that one. Colin, are you there? Because I can only see his ceiling at the moment. He is. Colin, welcome in, my man. How you doing?
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Yeah, we've covered. We've gone through a number of topics this afternoon. Talk to me. How are you feeling? What are you thinking? What's on your mind?
I'm feeling good, and I think it's a bit of R&R. I think will have done the squad a tremendous amount of good. I hear a few of them have gone out to Dubai for a bit of warm weather and what have you, and I think that can only help, and that can only be very good, for when when we get back into the rigors of the winter months, as they say.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we mentioned Norwich on the horizon. You've seen many derby days. Are Norwich underdogs in this one, Colin? After years of not being, I guess they viewed that. I don't know, but what do you think?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I've heard everything what has been said, and I totally agree with everything that's been said, especially yourself, Gov, because But yeah, I would say they do go into this game as underdogs. They've not had a great season. They've not had a great couple of 3 seasons, really. Mm-hmm. And I think, if there's a good time to play that lot from Denny A140, that's probably right now. And yeah, you're right. I mean, I go back to the mid '60s. I remember Colin Biljon scoring a hat trick and a 4-3 win at Carrow Road. And yeah, a lot of Norwich fans, they go on about, they've had the best of a lot of years, and to be fair, history says they have. But
yeah, correct.
if you go back to what I can remember a lot of very good days. Like I said, the hat trick from Bill John, the hat trick from Matthew. I think hat trick from Walkie, I believe, if I remember rightly, in a 4-2. So, don't keep coming back with this load of rubbish about, we've got history against them like they've got history against us. So I'm like Phil, I'm more than happy about the game. I'm not worried about them whatsoever. I think they'll come down here. I'm not so sure we'll smash them. I hope we do, Phil. But I go 3-0 tomorrow. I put 3-0 on it tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. And that 4-game stretch, Colin, you've got Watford, Norwich, Leeds, Leicester, 12 points on the table. Leeds, Leicester, Norwich, and Watford, big games. How do you see it shaking out as we sit here today, with all things considered?
I think those games you just suggested, I'd like to include West Brom on as well. I think West Brom would be difficult. I think we'll get at least a point there. Millwall, have turned the corner. I still think we'll beat Millwall. I think we'll beat Coventry. I think Watford will be difficult. I'm going for a point there, but hopefully 3.
Mm-hmm.
The one that really, because I've been there and seen it and done it, Leeds is an intimidating place. But people always go on about the Den. Alan Road, honestly, you're like an Ipswich, you're like a Leeds United sandwich. You're there just above where the players come out. You've got their lot, what they used to call the scratch and shed. They're behind the goal there. They're to your kind of right. You've got loads of them to your left, and it is intimidating there. If Town come out of Ellen Road with a point, they've done well. That's a very, very hard place to go. And not only that, they're a good side, Martin. They're a good side. Like I say, so you get out of that place with a point, you've done really well. But Leicester is one that we're all looking forward to. Certainly one I'm looking forward to. And I hope I can't think of his name, the Leicester manager.
Oh no, escapes
Maresca.
There you go, Phil. Well,
but I very much hope he starts Vardy. I'd rather Vardy start than Iniacho. I think Iniacho's a better player.
There's a lot of football to be played before then. Who knows where we'll be.
Yeah, I think Vardy's getting a little bit past his sell-by date. I'd rather Vardy play than him. Personally.
Mr. Diamond says only teams I'm scared of are Leeds and Leicester. Kev says we have one more win than Norwich. I think he means in the head-to-head. I'm not quite sure. And Mark says can't be complacent against Norwich. Make no mistake, they'll be up for it. We mentioned the striker position, Colin. So as we ran up the show, you looked at January. I asked where Town would be, but right now, November the 19th, is there one position you feel we should go out and strengthen, bring somebody in, or are you somebody who perhaps is somebody that we just leave alone? Like if things are as things are come January the 1st, if you're still 8 points ahead of the pack, if you're still where you are, just almost hands off a little bit. Leave this group to deliver what this group are on course to deliver.
I certainly get your point, Martin. But I think we really do need to give George Hurst a hand, if you like. I think that's a position I would like to strengthen for his sake, really. And also, I'm glad Wes is back, and Wes will come back far, and I'm absolutely sure of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think we might maybe need a little bit of help again over that side, maybe. But I think all in all, I think we're in a pretty damn good place, Martin. And let's just hope, we get to that January window and we're still in that top 2, and and then onwards and upwards. and those budgies can just go and do one because
Hey, they're canaries. They're canaries, all right? As a budgerigar breeder and exhibitor, they are canaries, all right?
they can go and do one, Martin, because they've been giving us shovelfuls for years, and it's about time we give them shovelfuls back.
Absolutely.
And I think the time is right, and you know, I think this is our time.
It's our time. Right, Colin, we love you and we appreciate you. Thank you for jumping on this afternoon and giving us your thoughts and feelings. We really appreciate it. Thanks ever so much.
Cheers, mate.
Bye-bye, mate. And also thanks to Frank for jumping on and giving us your thoughts. Live chat, as always, has been absolutely off the charts. I can't thank you enough. Really, every time we do this show, I always think, right, are we going to get any comments? Anybody join us? So it's always good when people get active in the chat and join us via the live link. So thank you both. Thank you both for joining us. Thank you all for getting active in the chat. If you're watching on catch up, get your comments in. I'll try and come back to as many as I can. Phil, come to the end. I thought international period, not a lot to talk about. We've done in half an hour. We've done over an hour. Paul says 2 key players for us, Hurst and Morsey. If either are out long term, we're in trouble. So those are the 2 positions I'd look to strengthen. Do you agree with that from Paul?
I agree with the first half of it. I mean, I think if, you know, obviously not so much Hurst, but I think Morsey, he is very influential, especially to the way, the style of play that we play our football. And, you know, so many times, you know, this season that he's the glue between our back line and our forward play. And, you know, if he gets injured or he's out for like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 games, then yeah, we could be in a bit of trouble.
Absolutely. And don't forget, stomach osteopaths, whatever aches and pains you may have, go along to stomach osteopaths for your osteopath and physiotherapy needs. 01449 613 633. So Freddie, the Gov sent you. Phil, one more thing from you, please, sir, as we round.
One more thing. I spotted it again yesterday, and I was thinking about it last night. Leeds, there could be a bit more turmoil with Leeds, with 2 or 3 of their first choice players wanting to move away from the club in January. I saw Pascal Struijk is being linked with a multi-million-pound move away, and Nonto he wants away too, which hopefully would obviously cause enough, you know, sort of turbulence in that Leeds dressing room that would, you know, cause them to think that maybe they're not at their best. But that's really the only thing. And also, just very quickly, the points deduction that Everton received this week, I thought was absolutely just. I think if I was a Man City or Chelsea fan right now, I think I'd be sweating pretty cold right now. Yeah. All
right, there we go. Thank you for that, Phil. Thanks for joining me as well. And thank you all for watching. Don't forget, if you want to carry the conversation on, you can do so on Twitter, Talking Town ITFC. We're on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. So whatever your social media platform, head there. Keep the conversation going about the world's best footballing team, or join our community. I'll call you the 5th standards, those that are supporters, Patreons of the Talking Town platform. We can't broadcast without those wonderful people support, which one is, of course, Phil, Stephen Parry in the chat, AD Croucher, and many, many others. Hit the link in the chat right now to Ko-Fi, $4.99, cancel at any point, or hit the join button on YouTube. And for doing so, you get access to our Discord server where the conversation is absolutely flowing 24/7, 365. Whatever your thoughts, feelings, opinions regarding Town, get active. We can only get access to that by becoming a Talking Town 5th stander. So get on that if you should so wish to. A says, another great show. Cruncher's in the chat. He says, I refereed today, didn't lose control, Gov. Cruncher, I don't believe you. Thank you for watching. Hit the like. Join us on Wednesday as we preview West Brom. Chris from West Brom will be joining myself, the Cruncher, and the Mogul. But until then, Mr. Phil Blundell, Optimistic Phil, Frank Collins, live chat, beautiful, brilliant. Thank you all, and I'll see you on Wednesday.
You make me smile when I think of you. If I get down low and I get blue, I can't get enough. You make me happy, I feel so fine. Oh, how I wish that you were mine. I can't get enough. I woke up all soaked in sweat, weird chills running down my neck. I thought went crazy from just the thought of you.